I have a rule that you can have as much caffeine as you want as long as you cut it off early in the day at like 10 a.m. So I'll
That's a
like
good rule.
floor the caffeine and then I'll cut it off. Today's an exception because we're doing a
We're
podcast, but
podcasting.
we're podcasting, but I'll try and finish it up as early as possible usually.
It really is like a performance hack, though.
Yeah, man, I love it.
Yeah.
I've gone cold turkey and I'm like, well, life kind of sucks.
No, dude, I feel you. I feel you, bro.
Yeah.
But dude, I just want to congratulate you on getting engaged. Let's go.
Oh man, thank you. We're growing up. We got the
No,
Villa Lipset now. We're engaged. We're settling down. It's a new era. So yeah, I'm delighted.
it's definitely a new era. You got the house now. You got the family on the way.
Yeah.
Um, so what are you thinking now for the next 5 to 10 years? Do you still want to do the YouTube stuff? Do you want to try transition away from that stuff?
Oh man, I actually want to go harder on YouTube. I always like this year. I had a great year on YouTube. I had like the competition prep series and just some banger videos. But if I actually look back on like the last couple of years, one of my I don't know if you can even call it a regret because last 5 years have been great. But I'm always like I wish I uploaded more to YouTube. Like I just get great joy out of uploading a video, but it's of course very time consuming and other things sometimes just come before it. So if anything, the opposite, I want to go harder on YouTube
Oh yeah.
as the years go on. Yeah, and then, like I'm 31 now. I look at guys like Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Casey Neistat, Gary Vee, pretty much all the guys I watch. They're all like, well, Joe's in his 50s. They're all like, they're a lot older than me, and I think that's the best time to get on YouTube because you actually have some knowledge and life experience to give. So I think I'm only really getting warmed up on YouTube.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure the content will just evolve naturally based
Exactly.
on
Yeah. Like
how
so
you're
this year
going.
we had the podcast, which I think podcasting is a little bit more mature. It's like it's two adults sitting down and having a conversation, whereas sometimes the vlogs you're running around, you're like, it's a little bit hectic, but podcasts are nice and calm and they're kind of like strictly informative.
Are you still doing the podcast?
Yeah,
You
for
keep
sure. So
keep it going?
the last one was max tuning.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely difficult to get guests in person,
Mm,
unless you're like traveling the world getting guests. So I might kind of pivot onto doing them online like this. I find people don't really mind. People don't care. Like, and
yeah.
it's nice to have that the high quality setup, but people just want to hear the conversation really.
Yeah, there's definitely like something different about being in person. Like the quality of conversation goes a little smoother.
Of
But
course.
um yeah, people can't really tell sometimes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, exactly. Especially if you're just listening on audio.
yeah, absolutely, bro. So with the YouTube stuff, are you going to start to transition away from doing vlogs type of stuff? You had that bodybuilding competition series. What do you have on deck for the next year?
Yeah, so I'd like to do so if I want to pump out videos, realistically, I'm not going to be running around Marbella in every single one of them.
Yeah.
So I'd love to like get a really nice. This is like my upstairs office here. I'd love to kind of kit it out, get a really HD studio setup, really, and just like bang out like daily sit down videos and just like cover
Nice.
loads of topics because that's really easy to do. I can talk for days. So I think if I want to really increase my upload frequency, that's what I would have to do.
I think that's a great idea, and I think people are so interested in that like information type of content now.
Yeah,
Um,
at the end of the day, like people, when they're watching someone's content, they want to get something from it. It's a trade off.
totally.
So, what are you giving them? And usually people want information. They want to improve their life in some way. So you got to just deliver the most, really.
Absolutely, dude. How did that bodybuilding competition that you did in May go?
Yeah, it went awesome. So I did two. The first one was a warm up show here in Marbella, and I did terrible at that. I didn't even play. Personally, I think my condition was fucking sick. But when the judges were like, the judges, whatever, were calling out the like poses and everything in Spanish, I was like, my Spanish sucks. So I'm
Oh
like,
no.
what's going on? So I looked a little bit lost up on stage. So my stage presence wasn't great. And that's what I definitely think I lost on. And then I did the Ireland show, and again, which was a much bigger show. And then I actually came third in that. So, went from nowhere to placing within like 2 weeks. So I was really happy with that.
What was your stage weight at?
Oh man, so the first one was like 165,
Hmm.
and then I dropped 3 more pounds down to 162 for the
Damn.
one that I came third in. So it's crazy.
And
Right now I'm like 175. Yeah, so pretty lean,
hell
pretty good,
yeah.
but still definitely like a good solid 10 pounds up. There's no
Crazy.
way you can sustain that stage weight. It's
Yeah.
just crazy.
It's crazy because you're so lean, like walking around, like getting down that
Yeah,
cut is
exactly. So
hard.
like, people will look at me and they'd be like, "Oh man, you're ripped." And I'm like, "Nah, you got 10 more pounds to go." Yeah, I'm like 12 weeks of graft away. So people like they kind of underestimate how lean you really got to get for these shows. It's wild. It's an extreme sport in my eyes.
And taking that like outside of just bodybuilding and just cutting in general and fat loss, like what were the things for you that allowed you to make it like a bit easier?
So being able to do it full time, and being able to run my own schedule is, of course, very helpful. But at the same time, the first time I ever competed in 2016, I think actually 2015, I was working a corporate 9 to 5 job, and I was just having a meal prep every day, and I was trying to start my fitness business alongside that as well. So when I get home from work at like between 7 and 2 in the morning, I'll be working on online coaching and making YouTube videos. And I was still prepping for a show. So I don't know, like, yeah, obviously people say to me now, they're like, "Oh, of course you can stay ripped because you do this full time." I'm like, no, I did it. I was just as lean and in great condition when I had an office job and also trying to get a side business up. So I don't accept those excuses when people throw them at me.
Yeah, dude, that grind while you're doing the 9 to 5 and also trying to make all this shit work on the internet while also cutting and doing that stuff, that is no
Yeah,
easy feat.
it's tough.
That's hard, man. What was that like? What allowed you to do that? Because I find that so many people, once it gets to a point, I think I like to call it like the valley of despair, where you're putting in the fucking work and you're working your ass off, but the results haven't came yet. And I find that that's a point that most people give up with it. What allows you to, or what allowed you to keep going during that grind when you're working the office job?
That's a great question. And I kind of just had no other option. I was like, well, I fucking hate this job so much. I'm literally depressed and can't see me living this life forever. So I'm like, what am I good at? What do I know? And the only thing I was actually like so passionate about into is fitness. So I'm like, I'm either going to make this work or that's it. So there's just really nothing else. And then because I loved it so much, I'm like, well, even if it doesn't work, it's still fine. I'm enjoying making these videos, and I'm enjoying working with the clients I do have. So it was just no other option, simple as that. And I think once you remove all options, then that's when the magic happens. Give yourself no options, hit that rock bottom, go all in, invest all your money, just say fuck it, go all in. And then that's when you've no other option. That's when you'll get there.
Dude, I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. And that pain, like running away from something, I think is almost more powerful than running towards something. Like
I
everyone
love
likes,
that, Alex Hormozy. That's a
yeah,
good
some
one. Yeah,
Hormozy shit.
that's
Why are you
actually
exposing my sources, dude? Come on.
exactly. Yeah, well, he got that from a study done on
Mm,
rats, and they had the smell of the cheese or whatever
yeah.
that they're running towards, and then they're running away from the cat or something, and so that's where he got that from. But it's a perfect analogy, and sometimes the thing you're running away from is more powerful, and for me that actually is more powerful. So what I was running away from was just a life of monotony and a job that I hated, and running away from just being miserable for my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't talked too much about your backstory at all. So, for context, for the people that don't know, what do we need to know about you to make sense of this world of YouTube fitness that you found yourself into?
So I was actually a total failure in everything I did. I was led to believe I was so stupid from my school. I was just the bottom of the year in terms of academics. It was pretty good in the gym though. So I was like, hey, maybe some wrong something here. And then when I finished school, I got into like a college course that I hated, and I failed that. I couldn't pass a single test. I couldn't concentrate in any of the lectures. I was just like, fuck, this is just L after L. And then I managed to get like a job. Okay. It was in like a startup job. It was in an office, just doing fucking emails and spreadsheets and just nothingness really. Just showing up every day, clocking in. And I was terrible at it, and I just went into my boss and I was like, look, the only thing I can actually see myself doing is something in the fitness industry. He would always come over and like catch me doing like plans for my friends and everything. And I was like, look, I'm just going to have to quit. He was like, that's cool. We were going to fire you anyways. And I was like, all right, dope. Let's go. I was like, he was actually a good dude. He was a nice guy. And so then I went out. So I'm like, no college, no job, no connections to get a job, no nothing. Like I'm just living in this shared accommodation that I absolutely hate. I've got €300 in my bank account. So I go out and buy a Canon G7X. Okay. Bank account's on like €12 now. All right. So I'm like, let's make some fucking videos and let's build a WordPress website that can take payments. Let's sell an ebook on it for €20. Let's try get some online coaching clients in that I'll coach them via email. Like how fucking stone age is that? Like this is 2015, 2014. So it's literally just like email. There's no app. There's no game plan app. Like it's so prehistoric. And then that's how I started. So, back up against the wall. The only valuable item I had to my name was a Canon G7X. Laptop stolen out of shared accommodation because it was in a house that loads of other people lived in. So yeah, I was just like, I'm going to be absolutely fucked if I don't make this YouTube fitness thing work.
Yeah, and you mentioned that having that thing you're trying to run away from, kind of being one of the things that allowed you to make it work. But in terms of like the practical day-to-day stuff, what do you think allowed you to, because there's so many guys who like enter into this world of YouTube and fitness YouTube specifically, and it doesn't work. Like what do you think the difference there, from like a day-to-day practical perspective is between those guys that figure it out and the ones that don't?
I think the other guys they get impatient and they give up. And like I've seen it countless times. I know it sounds cliche and sounds corny. I've seen it countless times. There's guys that they don't look the part. They're not even like fucking jacked or anything, or they're not even good at speaking a camera. They shouldn't make it, but they do because they literally don't give up. Like they literally just keep going. They keep uploading content. They keep pulling in more clients. They just don't give up. They drop their ego and maybe they're working a job on the side, but they keep going until it works. And so just the people that just don't give up, they're patient and they just keep going. If you broaden your time scale enough, you end up winning. It's like impossible to lose if you broaden your time scale long enough. So that's the difference, just other people get impatient and then they go back knocking on their 9 to 5 saying, could I have my job back? It didn't work. Bitch, you didn't try long enough or hard enough. Like there's literally people that are so less talented than you and they're lapping you because they have more patience and they're trying harder. So it's as simple as that.
Especially in that world of YouTube or social media in general, where it's like a compound effect, where it's like you have one person, then one person tells two people, then two people tell four people, and it's like this slow grow, but it just fucking builds upon each other. And if you just stay in the game long enough, like you said, like you're going to get lucky and get that success that you're looking for.
Exactly. And it's even like if you're doing coaching, okay? I'd coach my first clients for free. I was like, hey, can I send you a plan? You follow it. Just give me a testimonial and a before and after. Okay, sweet. I got 5 of them. Right, bang on. Half of them are friends and family. Right, so I got 5 of them. And then I'm like, okay, now I can start charging people. And I could be like, hey, look, I got these results for them. Yeah, I'm going to do the same for you. And so at the start, you go like, free, you're working for free. And then fast forward a couple of years, you're doing like high ticket coaching, charging thousands for a program. So it's like, it's literally, think of a graph like that,
Yep. Dude, it's like, but so many of those guys in the fitness, they never like think big enough to even go into that high ticket stuff.
Yeah, I know. And I was the same. And I had to have like, mentors or coaches, whatever, just tell me, be like, build it and they will come. You say, hey, I'm charging this much. The moment you say that, well, people will actually value it more. Mm-hmm. They will hear that price and they're like, fuck, must be good. Must be a great service.
Yeah,
and then
exactly, dude.
you do supply a great service, they get the result thereafter, and then it's a win-win for everybody. But it all starts with having that belief in yourself.
And you got a few businesses right now. Which one are you most excited about?
So most excited about the one I don't take any money from. So Fuel Cakes, just because I relaunched it last month. But so we got Game Plan, which is the app, and also that my high ticket coaching business fall under that. We got the personal brand, Rob Lipsett, so sponsorships, YouTube, all that good stuff. Then we got Fuel Cakes, the protein pancake company, which is probably the most fun because
Hell
I
yeah.
get to eat pancakes all day.
I was gonna
And
say, dude, I need
people
some.
messaging me being like, "Yo, your pancakes are dope." Everyone send me pictures of pancakes. I'm like the Willy Wonka of pancakes. So that one's really fun, but I just reinvest everything into that as
Nice.
it's a costly business to run because it's a physical product, so you got to buy stock, pay for shipping and storage. But probably my biggest source of income is like the app subscription service coaching, as it's service based. So you don't have to store it anywhere. You don't have to ship it to anyone. It's all instant. The only thing, the biggest kind of expense for that is just paying coaches, because I've got a coaching team, because to meet the demand of clients and provide a good service. But so a good few things going on.
Absolutely, dude. So you see that the pancakes as the highest upside?
Yeah, well, in terms of like fun, and I think like that's something that I could really build like huge, like something like, for example, one of the inspirations of starting it was Max shooting sour strips, which has just gone mega viral.
Bananas.
It's
Yeah.
gone crazy. Like it's in Walmart. It's like beside Haribo. So I'm like, I want to, when people walk into Whole Foods or whatever, they see Aunt Jemima, they see Fuel Cakes right next to it. So there's no reason why it can't really happen.
Hell yeah. So what with that, like how long of a process you think that is until you get it into like the major stores? I don't know too much about that realm.
Yeah, I'm learning about it now myself. I'm figuring out as I go along. So Max started Sour Strips, I think 3 or 4 years ago, but his
Wow.
has actually been exceptionally fast. Like that's
Damn.
faster than most.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of like podcasts with other founders and kind of the consumable industry, and it's taken them like 10 years. And again,
Yeah.
you just got to zoom out, be patient, and enjoy the process.
100%, dude. It's like those same principles that apply to the YouTube stuff.
So YouTube is a business. Like it's a product. Your videos are the product. And that's actually costly enough to make as well. You got to pay for videographers. You got to buy like $5,000 Sony A7 and everything. That one is not as easy as you think. But it's just a product like anything else. And you got to put time and resources into it and treat it as a business if you really want to grow. And so that's why, like, I've got multiple actual businesses outside of YouTube. So that's why sometimes, it's hard to balance everything.
Yeah. And I love like how you're going to start doing more of just like the talking YouTube stuff. Because with
Yeah.
the vlog content, it's like I think I've heard Thurston talk about this. You start like living your life for the vlog, and
Yeah.
it just
That's
doesn't
so
seem too
true.
sustainable.
Yeah. And like, I'm like a guy that I like to chill at home all day. I like to wake up in the morning. I'll go into my office. I'll clock in 4 hours. I'll go to the gym. I'll come back home. I'll make a big, huge meal. I'll do some more work on my laptop. Just do a podcast like this. We're at 2 o'clock now. I'll go for a big walk. Then I'll make a nice big dinner and try clock off for the evening. Like that's what most days are like for me. So I'm like, I can't vlog that every day. It's just like I'm sitting in my office for most of the day. So yeah, you end up being like, oh, what am I gonna do for today's vlog? And I'm like, bro, I just want to chill. So whereas I can go up to my office, put in an hour, and get really passionate about a certain topic, and it'll do great on YouTube as well. So yeah, Mike is completely right there. Sometimes it does take over your life a little bit, and you feel you have to do things that you don't want to do.
How long you been in the YouTube game for now? Did you say 2014 when you get started?
Yeah, so September 1st, 2014 is when I uploaded my first ever YouTube video. But like, that was done on like an iPhone. I was still working in the office job then. So until like 2016, I wasn't really, seeing much traction on it. And then like about 2016 onwards is when I started doing it full time.
Yep.
So only like start re-picking up in 2017 and 18. And then, pandemic happened, 2019. So there were like, 3 years where you couldn't really fly around, do expos, do collabs with everyone. And so I still think that's why I feel like I've, got a lot more left in me on YouTube and a lot more to do.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're still a rookie in the game, and in the
Yeah,
grand scheme of
exactly.
things.
I'm like, it's shit's only been popping in the last few years, so I still got a long way to go.
Totally. And I think about it with the podcast, there's been so many unintended benefits of doing it. Like things initially I didn't think going in. But when you do it, you're like, oh shit, this is awesome. Like get to meet all these people, blah, blah, blah. What do you think some of the unforeseen benefits have been of doing the YouTube stuff?
So I think people definitely bond with you a lot better and you build that hardcore community, which is the
Mm,
most valuable thing if you ever want to launch an online business or even like a product, anything, is build your audience first and then build your product around that audience, not the other way around. People like they come out with a product, say, hey, I'm a personal trainer now, or hey, I've got pancakes now, and they've got no one to sell it to. Like, so instead, they've got no customers. They're like, why aren't people buying my plans? Why aren't people signing up? And it's like, because you haven't built a community first. So everyone's doing it backwards. They're like, I'll start a business. It's like, no, you should try to build a community before doing that first. So
mm.
yeah, a lot of people have it backwards. So that's the biggest benefit I find with doing like long form spoken content like podcasts or YouTube, is people can actually see what you're like. And they'll see like, oh, do I fuck with this guy? Do I like his information? Do I like his vibe? Okay, cool. I'm going to, watch his stuff. I'm going to build a relationship with this dude. And that's what it's all about. Business is about relationships.
Yeah, I was at dinner last night with a few creators, and someone said, at the end of the day, we're really in the business of creating cults.
Yeah. Oh,
And
man.
everyone laughed,
That's
but
true.
it's so true, kind
Yeah, it's completely true. I got the LF Army, the Lipset Fitness Army,
of.
and that's it. And so me and Linda have this funny thing. Like we can, like if we're in Dublin particularly, but even here in Marbella, we can spot someone a mile away if they're going to come up and say hello to me. So if there's a guy in his 20s and he's got a fade and he's like kind of jacked and he's wearing Alphalete, he's going to come up and be like, yo, Rob, what's up?
It's
And so me and
guaranteed.
Linda have gotten so good at spotting it. And like it works every time. So it's so funny that like that's my cult,
That is awesome.
It's great. And it always makes my day if anyone ever comes up and says hello to me. It's the best feeling in the world.
I think there were two occasions I was driving in Puerto Banús. I was like, I think that's Rob walking down the street.
Yeah, it probably was. Like I
Dude.
walk, so I live very near Port. I'm about to
Yeah.
walk down there now. So I live like a walk away from Puerto Banús, and I'm pretty easy to spot. Like Linda's got the big blonde hair; she's pretty easy to spot. We're always in gym gear,
Hell
so
yeah.
like we're always like perma flexed. So yeah, people always say, and I walk so much. Like I walk like 12 to 15,000 steps a day. It's just like it's always beautiful out. I just love walking around.
Dude,
And
that
so people are
walking
like,
is a game changer too.
oh man, that's how you get lean. I'm telling you, like it's a lot easier to do than like strict cardio every day, and it's good for your mental health and everything. I'll go take a call when I'm walking around. It's amazing. But yeah, so people always say that to me. They're like, I always see you pacing around Port Moose. It is a man on a mission.
Man on a mission. You've
Yeah.
done a fair bit of traveling, right? As well, like throughout Europe and the States.
Yeah, I would consider myself very well traveled this year. Last year, a lot of travel because I was waiting on the house to be built.
Mm.
Yes, I was in like Tulum for a month, Miami, Texas, Ibiza, all over Europe, Mallorca, London, Australia, just everywhere. And then before that, like even more so, like I think there was 1 year and it was like 2019 and I was traveling for more than 6 months of the year, like unintentionally. I was like, where do I pay tax? But yeah, so I was like, yeah, exactly, nowhere. So I was traveling like so much, but this year, because we finally built the house, I was like, okay, I just want to enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah.
So in January, I went to the Maldives. Then I competed. So I prepped for my show February, March, April, May. So just stayed put, didn't do any travel and just went monk mode, like pure
Hell yeah.
fucking monk mode. And then May went back to Ireland. Don't really count that as travel. June, July stayed here. August back to Ireland. Then also went to Italy, and then just did an America trip there. So I only did like 3 big trips this year.
I find people like really struggle to like stay consistent with all the travel stuff.
Yeah, it throws you off a lot. Like you're eating
Yeah,
airport food, you don't have a kitchen, so you're eating out pretty much every day. So your calories, whether you realize it or not, will just spike up massively. Your
totally.
protein intake will go down. You'll miss sessions in the gym, or you'll have to pay like $20 for a day pass every single time. Time zone changes, it can just throw you off a lot. So nothing beats if you want to like really get on top of your fitness is to live a boring life,
Yeah,
live a routine life. Like if you are serious about getting results, you need to dial in and just kind of do the same thing every day until
yeah.
you achieve your desired results.
Dude, that monk mode. I've heard you say it on a few occasions, but it's needed at times. Like understanding when you need to sprint and like do this one thing for months on end and kind of say no to the rest of the world is
Oh
so
man, so it
important.
was the first time I done it in a while, and it was probably like the happiest period of my year. So I literally just February, March, April, May, no eating out, no drinking, of course, no partying, no late nights, just work and training. It was great. And Linda did it with me as well.
Hell yeah.
And like we got along so well. Like, we're like, this is when we're at our happiest. I'm like, when everyone's like being productive and training and working, I'm like, whether you actually realize or not, you're probably going to be happiest then. People think they want to be partying, they want to be like, living their best Instagram life. No, I'm telling you, you'll be happier if you just put your head down, you're working away. So that was the first time in a while that I did that, and it really set me up for a great year. I think I did like a year's worth of work in those 4 months.
That's the truth though. I mean,
Yeah.
those like when you go out and you're drinking and doing real tapped into that scene, it's like the highs are pretty high, but the lows are really low.
Bro, I swear to God, my hangovers are like so bad now, ever since the last 2 years, or ever since I took those 4 months off. So like then,
Mm.
I went back to drinking like over summer. I go out maybe every weekend or every second weekend. But let's say I go out on Saturday, I'm hungover till Tuesday, at least, because I'm like Sunday, right off. Monday, nah, you're feeling all right, and then you're only back in the gym. You're only back in it on Tuesday, and then like okay, Wednesday, you're 100% again. So what you got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like you got three 100% days in the whole week. So
Dude,
like
it's
I think if you're
crazy.
going hard on a Saturday, like it personally takes half the week for me.
Yeah, and like for most people, that's every weekend. So that
Oh,
just like you think about your whole year as a whole, you're just like losing the majority of it,
yeah.
your
It's like
productivity,
it's like there's 52 weeks in a year. You're like for like what, like 25, 26 of them, you're
just
gone.
hungover. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just doing fuck all, just scrolling,
yeah.
just scrolling hungover on your couch. So a
Oh,
lot of people, especially in Ireland, there's obviously a massive drinking culture. You start drinking at like 14, if not younger, 13. And, there's a lot of people that could just do with just cutting out the drink for like 3 months.
Ireland's one of those places that it seems like they don't really support people standing out as much.
Big
It,
time. You just nailed it. Like completely. It's
it's
like a nation of begrudgery.
mm,
That's it. Like I love it. Obviously my main audience is Irish, but if someone does something out of line, you will be very quick to say, "Hey, get back in line. Don't do that. What do you think you're doing?" So like when I first started, going to the gym and recording myself and like doing like physique updates and shit on YouTube, they'd be like, "Who's this guy think he is? Like, does this guy think he's God's gift? Does this guy think he like Bertie Big Bollocks down recording himself in the gym?" And I'm like, well, first of all, yes. And then, but then like people would just rip into you. Whereas like American viewers would watch me and they're like, yeah, go, let's get jacked and everything. So in Ireland, like there's definitely a sense of begrudgery. Like even, guys like McGregor would get it a lot as well. He'd get a lot of hate from Irish people but then you also get a lot of love from Irish people. So, it's just kind of the culture. Like, we make fun of each other a lot, but yeah, it just is what it is. And I think it's pretty standard in any small country or small town. Like, the population of Ireland is very small, so you got to keep that in mind.
So I have to imagine that was pretty difficult when you're first getting started and you don't have the success yet for it to be like fuck off.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. That was definitely a difficult part, and the only thing that kind of got me through that was like, oh well, I've nothing else to do. Like, I've literally no other option. Back
mhm.
is up against the wall. Someone's like, yo, commenting like horrible shit, and I'm like, oh, well, that's not nice to read, but I've still got to upload tomorrow. I've still got to go and record this chest workout. And then, like, it's funny, 90% or 99% of the comments will be like lovely, but then that 1% one can just stick out a little bit. But again, if you're someone like me who just has no other choice, then you'll just get on with it, really.
Did it bother you like when you would read this shit?
It's never nice to read, but sometimes I find it funny, and sometimes you just got to kind of laugh it off, and you got to view it in a place of empathy. I'm like, I can hand on my heart say, I have never in my entire life logged onto the interwebs and left a hateful comment. I've never in my single life, never mind off a fake profile. Imagine how much of a fucking loser you gotta be to do that. So I'm like, do you really get angry at these losers? They're actual bums. Like, they're actual fucking. Imagine. I find it so crazy. So, if someone's on an anonymous little page leaving me hate, I'm like, nah, you can't take it too seriously.
Yeah, you really can't because I mean, one, you don't even know what they look like,
Yeah,
but because they're
exactly.
anonymous account. But you have
Yeah.
to imagine that they are not one the healthiest people and two the happiest people, right? Like
It's
they're
just I'm just picturing comic book guy out of The Simpsons.
I just picture a fat guy with glasses, with long hair in his
Yeah,
mom's basement,
it's
just mad
standard.
at the world. Yeah,
It's probably the case 90% of the time.
it's so crazy, bro. It's so crazy. What's your
Yeah.
diet looking like now,
Pretty good. So I was just enjoying all the American food. American portions are wild, bro.
dude?
They're delicious, but
I'm on the
they're
cut
they're
right now. It's
oh
difficult,
man.
man. I'm in Texas too, so it's like, whew.
So one thing, like when I was trying to have like a good lean day in America, I would like just have black coffee in the morning, and then I go to Whole Foods and I just rack up on that salad bar. Cost me like $40 fucking, and then I
Same
would just have
there.
like a shake and a bar, later on or something, and just something meat based. But it's tough. There's so much like delicious tacos and pizza and shit and burgers. Like, American food is absolutely delicious. It's too delicious. But in Spain here, I find it very easy to stick to a healthy diet. Just a ton of vegetables, a lot of eggs, a lot of steak, a lot of meat, chicken breast. There's a good few meal prep companies here in Marbella that hook me up as well. So yeah, just hitting my macros. A lot of protein, a lot of meat. Very big fan of meat based diet. A lot of vegetables.
Yeah, so you're doing like what, like a gram of protein per pound of body weight?
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm weighing in 175, but I eat like 200 grams of protein
Yeah,
a day.
nice.
Just, you don't even need that much. You don't even need a gram per pound. It's actually like the actual amount is like zero point 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. But I've coached thousands of fellas over the last few years, okay? And the majority, pretty much all of them, will do better cutting on high protein. The main thing is, it is going to help with satiety. Okay, it's going to help with hunger and cravings. Imagine someone's like, okay, here's like just a plate of pure chicken breast. Like, you couldn't even eat it. You couldn't even finish it. Then imagine like someone's like, here's a big bowl of pasta, like, or Cocoa Pops.
Oh,
Like, you'd floor it. You'd floor it easily. So like, protein is simply just harder to eat. Like, it's just very filling. So if you want to just not be hungry on a cut, just up your protein intake to just a little bit. For me, I can go a little bit above a gram per pound of body weight, and that's of course going to help with recovery, muscle maintenance, and everything. But I think the real key of going high protein is the satiety.
it's so simple, but it is so profound for weight loss. Like You're so much more full throughout the day if you're eating
Ah,
enough protein.
man, and it's funny. I think the fitness industry has kind of gone like a full circle. So they went through a phase of like, so it started off at like in the 90s, like the bodybuilder bros were like a gram per pound of body weight. And then the science bros were like, no, actually, it's about zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. And then we're like, what? And now we're gone back to 1 gram because we're like, hey, it fills us up. Maybe the bros were right all along.
Dude, there's a good point in that about like how bodybuilders just test the limits in a way that science like won't, and they
Exactly.
like push the limits of science and push on like some discoveries because they're so willing to just like do shit.
Exactly. Yeah. Like sometimes there's a little bit of truth to the bro
Dude,
science.
100%. There's a lot of truth to the bro science. I could definitely get behind it. And
Yeah.
what's your like carbohydrate and fat intake? Are you trying to be pretty moderate with both?
Yeah. So, oh man, I'll tell you. So on my final few weeks of prep, they were like, so for the majority of my prep, my macros were like 200 protein, about 250 carb, and 50 fat. I'll get pretty lean off that. Okay. Pretty lean intake, pretty sustainable. Get to eat over 200 grams of carbs a day. Fat's a little bit low, but we can do it. Then when I'm getting into fucking crazy condition, carbs go down to like 150, and fat goes to like 30 to 40 grams. And I'm
Mm.
dying. I'm like Christian Bale in The Machinist.
Yeah.
I'm dead. And so that I cannot sustain. But yeah, so they're like that's my typical calorie range if I'm on a cut. My maintenance calories are around like 3,000, which again is pretty solid. It's fine. And then I haven't done like a proper bulk in many years, as I've no interest in getting much bigger. And I'm kind of like I've made most of my gains at this stage.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I would bulk on like 3,500 calories a day.
Do you find that like if you cut pretty heavy, that the bounce back when you go back to like a normal calories, you just get you fill out like a lot better?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And but that's only going to last a certain while. Then your glycogen stores are full, and
Yep.
people start pushing up a little bit too high, and their hunger is still there, and so their fat gain, they rebound badly after a diet. So I still recommend people take it slowly when they're finishing up the cut, to still ramp up calories slowly enough, and kind of be a bit mindful at that stage as well, especially if you're just on a show. Man, people rebound so
Oof,
badly after that, because that's like you're in like eating disorder
I was
territory
gonna
there.
say.
You've been depriving yourself so harshly for weeks, and so the moment you're done the show, you're like, oh, finally I can live life again. So people overindulge and go way too hard. So it's almost like the hard work begins after the show, because that's when you need real willpower and discipline.
Yeah, dude, that it's almost very easy to fall into, right? Like that binge, almost like close to an eating disorder
Oh
type
man,
of
completely.
mindset.
And that's why I don't recommend most people compete, is
Yeah.
because it's the definition of unsustainable, you know? So like it's just for the few freaks like myself that really, kind of know what they're doing and really want to push themselves. But for 99% of people, who want to get in shape, I would just say, pick a goal that you can sustain. That's difficult, that you're gonna have to push yourself, but nothing insane.
And so I got a selfish question for you because
Hit me
I'm
up.
in the cut right now. So outside of the protein leveraging, you have any other cutting hacks to kind of help with just the ease of it?
Yeah, for sure. So I do a good bit of intermittent fasting. I'd say I do that maybe 4 days a week. And so when you think about it, right, let's say you're on a budget, right? And at the start, and you have a monthly budget. If you fucking spend all your cash at the start of the month, it's not gonna be good. You're gonna have a bad month. You're gonna be like, oh shit. So it's just the exact same with your calories. If you blow all your calories out early in the day, you're like, well, today is going to suck. I'm literally eating air for the rest of the day. So intermittent fasting, I think a lot of people, again, so when I'm talking about, just anecdotal, when I'm talking about guys that I've worked with, majority of them do better with having a very small protein-based breakfast, and saving the majority of their calories for the evening, or just doing full intermittent fasting, having their first meal at like 12. So that's a big hack there. Of course, going with high volume, high satiety foods, just like a ton of veggies, a ton of fruit is great, a ton of meat. Like I'll have like once a day, I'll just get a load of lean mince, throw in like some broccoli, onions, chickpeas, hot sauce, just
Mm.
put it all in a stir fry, and you're just like have this huge bowl of meat and vegetables. So it's like protein and fiber, and like pretty much no carbs, hardly any fat, and you're just like you're stuffed for the day, you know. So that's another little hack I do. And then, you know, just finding things that you enjoy as well, like so that aren't necessarily filling, but you just really like the taste of. So you do your filling meal, and then you also have a meal to satisfy the cravings. So for
Mm.
me, there's fuel cakes, there's pancakes, or I love like frozen yogurt. Again, that's a pretty easy one to fit into your daily routine. So that's like some guidelines that I follow myself.
Yeah, I like that second part because the strictness, like going back to what we were saying before about the eating disorder stuff, it's so easy to fall into those like binge cycles if you aren't allowing that in your like daily or weekly intake.
Yeah, exactly. And so I recommend people eat one thing they love every single day.
Mm.
Like every single day, just do your best to do it, because without realizing it, if you're like depriving yourself of that, you're just gonna there's gonna maybe in a month, maybe in 2 months, you are just going to rebound
Yes.
so badly. So I really recommend, and it may seem counterproductive. You're like, oh, I'm eating like something delicious every day. The long run, you're gonna be better off.
So much more sustainable.
Yep.
And for the fitness side of things and for training, how have things evolved for you over the years? Like, what are you doing now versus what you were doing when you first got into the game?
So when I first got the game, I'd follow like Ronnie Coleman's program. I'd be reading like simplyshredded.com or like Flex magazine. I would like, hey, Jay Cutler's doing this. I'm going to do
Gotta
this.
do
And
it.
I remember I had a day for every body part. Ryan, I'm not joking you. I had a calf day. I had a forearm day.
Oh,
I
jeez.
like I wouldn't I had a split. Yeah, I would split up everything. I'd be like delt day, chest day, trap day. It would be like 12 days before I hit chest again. So that was like the biggest mistake. And then I kind of went the opposite. Like I found out about like 3 day full body, a 4 day upper lower, and progressive overload, tracking my lifts. And so that was just the biggest game changer for me. It's like my results after that. And so nowadays I follow a legs push pull split. So usually go 6 days per week, or another split I often run as well. I'm very fond of it, is legs push pull upper lower. So that's
Mm.
like a 5 day split. So again, you're hitting everything twice a week, which is like kind of the main thing for me. You have to keep that muscle protein synthesis elevated throughout the week, keep that training frequency high. And so as long as you're following a program that has you hit every muscle group 2 to 3 times a week, then you're good to go.
Yeah, I did the Game Time app. I did your program for a little
Oh,
bit.
game plan. Yeah,
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 game
game plan.
plan, game plan.
Game
Yeah.
time's a good name. Maybe I should get that username as well.
The game plan program that you have, it's like it's just simple, dude. Just like that,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
3 day split, and it's enjoyable for sure.
Yeah, the 3 day one's killer,
Oh, it's
and
killer.
people think like 3 days, and I'm like, no, you can get jacked on 3 days, and a lot of people, they get so much stronger because they have so much recovery, and it suits them so much better. Their stress is lower, so that's one of the most popular programs on the app, and that's a killer one.
100%. So if you could only do 10 exercises forever, what 10 are we doing?
Just watched Seabum answer
Answer
this
this question, dude.
on Chris
You know
Ridge's.
all my sources, bro. I don't
Yeah,
like this,
man. We
dude.
probably watched the same podcast, and I'm always like, oh God, what 10 would I choose? Okay, because it's hard when you're on the spot.
Dude,
So I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna go through the body part. 10 is a lot, by the way.
10 is a lot. Yeah.
I could do it in like fucking 4.
Yeah.
So let's go through. Okay, number one, my favorite pushing movement is incline dumbbell press.
Hmm.
Okay, that in my opinion, that's the best chest exercise. Okay, so one, we got to incline dumbbell press. So now let's do a vertical press. Okay, number two is going to be OHP. Okay, just barbell overhead press. So I'm working around the body. So now number three, we're going to go a pulling movement, horizontal row. So we're going to do chest supported row. Okay, number four, we're going to do a vertical row. So that's going to be lat pull down. Okay, so number five, we are going to do a arm movement. So for me, that is going to be easy bar curls.
Love this.
Number 6, we are going to do triceps. So it is going to be overhead triceps. So with a cable, with like an overhead tricep movement, whatever you want. Like let's just say cables, okay? So now last 4 ones, we're going down to the legs. I think that's upper body covered. So number 7, we are going to do some good old squats. I just think it's just such a killer. Number 8, we are going to do stiff leg deadlifts. Number 9, we are going to do calf raises. And then number 10, we are going to do just ab crunches. I think it's important that the abs. Personally, I see a lot of results from that. I know it's a little bit debatable, but there's my 10.
Oh, the ab stuff is interesting.
Yeah, man.
You always hear people say that it doesn't really make too big of a difference.
Yeah. And there's actually, I think it was actually Jeff Nippard's girlfriend who did a video on like I need to watch it again. It's years old. She like hit abs every day, like for like 3 months or something, and got some great results from it. But so there's of course loads of studies to show that leg training and compound movements hit your core, and then there's actually studies that say they don't actually activate. They do hit your core, but they don't activate it that much. Mm-hmm. So from personal experience, I find when I do train my abs, especially towards the end of a cut, it just makes them pop more. It just kind of makes them fill them out, because obviously there's such a small muscle group. They're not going to be like the size of your arms sticking out. So like there's only so much room for them to grow. But I think if you do want them to look more pronounced, that I think you should be hitting your abs. And it's also healthy to do core work. Like if you're an athlete, or if you want to improve your posture, or if you want to like just it's good to have a strong core. So yeah, I think some people, they talk down on training your core and your abs a little bit.
So you said you could do it in 4. What would the 4 be?
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Just think of the shape of the body. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
So you can go this way, you can go that way, you can go this way, and you can go that way.
Okay. That's a good way to think about things.
That's it, So I would go bench press, overhead press, barbell row, and squat. That's it. That's it, man. Like I'm telling you, if you had a fucking beastly one of every one of those movements, you have a good physique.
Dude, it's so true. And I think that helps people, like, because it can get overwhelming. And like, especially smart people who are like first getting into it, they want everything to be like so perfect and like organized. But when you just break it down like that, it's like, that's going to give you most of the gains doing those 4 things.
Literally. And so there's actually there's a term I think I invented it. It's called flexible training, right? I've heard no one else.
You gotta coin this.
Yeah, I actually do. And so basically, it's when you have, like, let's say you're doing a legs push-pull routine, okay, like me. You have 3 exercises on each day. So legs, you have squat. Push, you have bench, and pull, let's say, you have deadlifts or whatever. If you concentrate on those 3, you do them every week, you just nail them and increase them, then you can be flexible with the rest of your training. So, like, you can just do whatever you want for your isolation exercises. If one week you're like, I want to do a barbell curl, and the next week I want to do like an easy bar curl or a hammer curl, it doesn't matter. The main thing is the lifts at the start of your workout, and then you can be flexible with the other part of your workout.
I love that. What type of rep range would you do then for those like main ones?
I typically like lifting in the 8 to 10 rep range. It's like the magic number. It's between, lower rep ranges for strength. And it's also a nice place where people don't get injured very much. And then it's also, you get a good pump because the reps are high enough as well. So, 8 to 12 even is a nice rep range, I find.
Yeah, I agree. Have you seen that kid Sam Solik at all?
Yeah, man. I watch him. I think he's awesome. And so I've actually been thinking about this recently, okay? First of all, I love what he's doing with uploading daily unedited vlogs. They're just so raw, and I think people are like going back to that 2016 YouTube vlogging era. People miss that. That's like when I started. He kind of actually reminds me of what I was doing. Just I'm a lot less jacked. Like, so just like I think people are really liking with that, and like bonding with him, like just watching him go about his day. And he just seems like a really chilled, calm dude. And I love what he's doing, to be honest. And people are always like, he's so unhealthy, he's so out of breath. I'm like, dude, I'm fucking out of breath when I'm in the middle of training. I'm like, you're just probably not training hard enough. I'm like, how are you not out of breath after you just doing a really heavy set, giving your all for 8 reps? I'm like, so don't get that. He does cardio every day, I'm pretty sure. So, and then I have these kids like, what you're comparing them to like some obese American kid eating McDonald's every day. No one bats an eyelid at that. But then people give this kid who's in the gym every day shit. I bet you if you did all his bloods, I bet you he wouldn't even be that unhealthy. So yeah, I think Sam is great. I'd love to chat to him one day. Maybe get him on the Game Plan podcast.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think he seems like a chill dude.
Totally. I mean, the movement of like Instagram and social media, they kind of have changed like the way we perceive things, and I think like this physique that kids are chasing has kind of been changing, and it seems like it's going in the direction of a lot of like younger kids getting super interested in getting on like trend and
Yeah.
some of these things. What do you think about this like movement we've had like more towards a huge physique that like if you look at the Mr. Olympia, like the physiques that they have are not the physiques that you think would be ideal versus like back in the day where those guys were like their physiques were the physiques that you wanted.
I know, man. So things come and go in trends, and I remember I'm from the Z's era. Okay, so that was like the physique we all wanted. And nowadays, if you took Z's and put him beside Sam, for example, or beside the Trend Twins, he would look small.
Yeah.
He would look like stringy. He'd look natty.
Natty.
He would look natty. So it's crazy to see like how standards change, and I don't think that is good. That's just going to make more kids hop on gear. Unfortunately, and hopping on gear way before they need to, like train for, get all your noob gains out before you even consider that. Train for at least 8 to 10 years. The longer you train without gear before jumping on, the better results you're going to get if you do jump on gear. So I think this whole movement and this whole, the new trend, no pun intended, the trend. I don't think that's good, to be honest. I think it's going to make a lot of younger guys, jump on these compounds long before they ever should.
Mm-hmm. What do you think the most dangerous ones are?
Definitely trend, from what I've heard. I've never done any trend, but from what I've heard, I only learned recently that when you inject it, you get a cough. Like you get a trend cough and you nearly cough your brains out. I'm like, what the hell is in it? Like, it sounds like devil juice. So I think trend is probably the harshest compound. I'm pretty sure Chris Bumstead even said he doesn't do trend. Yeah. Pretty crazy. And then another weird one as well. I don't really heard of many people, unless you're like Olympia level, like Phil Heath bodybuilder, is taking insulin. I'm not too educated on that, but it's something that I've heard you can like die from. Like you can kill yourself if you do it at the wrong time or something. Your blood sugar levels get all messed up. So yeah, some crazy shit out there.
I heard you talk in the past about punishing yourself and like the importance of that. For yourself right now, post punishment this past spring with the bodybuilding show and stuff, how does that come in? Does that come in cycles for you, or are you always trying to find those things in the day-to-day that's a punishment?
Yeah, so I remember it was last year, or it was 2021 even. I was sitting on a beach in Tulum, and I was like sipping a margarita or a whiskey sour, and I was like, it doesn't taste as good as it usually does. I haven't earned this. I shouldn't be here. And I went home, and then 2021, I was building a house, so I never really got to a place where I could zone in. And I was like, that was a good year, but it could have been a lot better, and I felt not deserving. And then 2022 or 2023, this year, I just fucking switched it on. And then this summer, everything tasted better, everything felt better, everything just flowed better. So a lot of times when you're feeling that something's missing. You're feeling that little bit of guilt and shame. It's normal, and oftentimes it means that you are not deserving of indulging in what you're currently indulging in, and that you need to go monk mode for a little bit. You need to punish yourself a little bit. You need to fulfill your potential, because the worst feeling in the world, the worst fucking feeling. Here's what hell is. If you you go to hell, right? You die and you go to hell. You're at the gates of hell, and then Satan shows you an image of the person you could have been in your life. That's the worst feeling in the world. That's the worst.
We have this like view of retirement, or of like what you're striving to get as chilling on a beach and drinking margaritas or whiskey sours. And that's like a week. That's not like a retirement or like a goal. That's after a month that would get like depressing.
Oh man, completely. And so that, like, the meaning of life is finding fulfilling work, because the majority of your day is going to be filled with what you work as. So if you can find something that makes you money, brings happiness or joy to other people's lives, improves other people's lives, brings happiness to your life. I think it's like the Japanese call it ikigai.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So once you find that, then you're going to live a very happy and fulfilling life.
So for you, in finding that just came from realizing that the thing that you were best at was the gym, and that was the thing you loved.
Yeah, it was just from doing bicep curls and then getting other
Hell
people
yeah.
to do bicep curls.
Fuck yeah.
But no, pretty much. And that can be anything. I got my haircut in the villa today, and I was speaking to this young lad, and he's a barber, and he's really into what he's doing, and he's like blowing up on TikTok and everything. And so I could tell his barber business, that was the gym for him. Like, that was like his version of being a PT, coaching people, And so like he really loved it. And so that was dope to see. So it doesn't have to be fitness industry. It can be any industry if you find that place you're meant to be.
Totally. And like when it comes to, you got to find the thing, but you also got to find that person to do it with. It's like just equally as important, because picking that partner and deciding, like, I forget what the term is, but there's this concept that like over time you kind of morph into the ideal version of what your partner wants out of life. So if your partner's ideal version of a boyfriend is someone who like goes out with them every weekend and eats pizza with them at 2 a.m, slowly, to please them, you start to become that person.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think
So one of the big, sorry to interrupt, but one of the
go.
biggest decisions you make in your life is who you choose as a partner.
So for that decision for you now, since you're in the midst of it, having decided the person you want to spend your life with, what advice would you have for guys in their 20s in finding that person?
For sure. So, I don't think it's bad for guys in their 20s to date around. I think it's fine. I think it's like worse for girls to do that really than guys. Like, I think guys can play the field and get away with it a little bit more, because women are the gatekeepers. They can choose who to be with. But guys can't. So, see who complements your life, and see who aligns with your goals, and have some non-negotiables that you want to have locked down in a partner. So for example, for me, is they got to be into fitness and health and living a healthy lifestyle. Okay, so that's like the main thing with me. They got to be a complement to my life. They got to support my goals. They got to not understand that, like, my goals come first, my life comes first, and that they support my journey, and then in turn you support theirs as well.
And I think like those guys, like a lot of guys don't realize that, and realize, like, they think what a girl wants is for you to be like their world,
and it's the opposite.
It's the opposite. They don't want you to
no, they don't want you to change. Like, they want you to be like stern and a man on a mission. They want you to be like, I'm on the Rob train, the train is going here, you can jump on the train if you like, but the train is not slowing down or stopping or changing direction. And they're like, nice one, I'm in.
Well said, dude.
That's
it. So true though. Like,
that's my best advice right there.
Honestly,
I was tiptoeing around saying that, but that's the best advice.
Rob, is there anything we haven't talked about today that has been front of mind for you, or anything else you just want to talk about?
Bro, we talked about pancakes, we talked about lifting, we talked about relationships, we talked about chicks, we talked about travel. Thank you. I think we covered it all.
It was a hell of a conversation, brother. I appreciate you taking the time for this one.
No worries.
This
I'm
was a
glad. I'm
blast, bro.
glad I'm glad we finally got it done.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna be hounding you next summer in Marbella for in person one of these.
Bro, I'm getting a spare room at Villa Lipset ready.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. Awesome, bro. Well, dude, I'm looking forward to seeing how the YouTube channel grows and evolves, and um, excited to start diving into the podcast a little more as well.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And I got to get you on the game plan.
Yes, sir. All right, brother.
Boom.
Let's go, dude. That was